Hey guys, in one of the recent videos I did, I talked about daily goal planning and why it's so important to actually create a structure for yourself every day so that you could actually have something to work through. I think it's pretty important that we have something laid out for ourselves, some kind of plan that we're going to tackle every day that doesn't just consist of tasks and to-dos, because those are really easy to go down a rabbit hole of and never feel like we're actually getting anywhere. And what we really want to start and end each day with is some kind of plan that leads into an overall weekly plan or monthly plan. Now, not everyone is going to have anything quite that structured, but something to keep in mind is the better off that you can plan your days or your time, really, the better you're going to be able to accomplish goals that you've set for yourself and hit projects and milestones. And really, that helps in when you get to the weekends or time off, being able to spend time with your family and other important things to you. So today, what I want to chat about a little bit is how do you actually plan out your day? So when we talked about goal planning daily, I talked a bit about why that's important and some things to remember, but I didn't dive very far into how to actually do it. So today, what I want to do is pull up a copy of my daily planner and show you kind of how I do this every single day. Now, something to keep in mind is that this is how I do it after a lot of practice with a variety of different tools, and I'm still tweaking things, and I actually think I'm going to plan to move away from this book in the not too distant future to something more digital, but I want to show you what this looks like because I think there's some good learning lessons you can pick up from as you're going through this process. Now, the product that I use is called the Panda Planner. Happens to be a pretty large book. I like it because I like the form factor. It makes it easier for me and more comfortable for me to write, but not everyone's going to. So keep in mind that the tool that you use to actually write down your daily plan is really subjective to whatever is comfortable for you. That doesn't have to be a formalized planner like I have here. It could be something digital, it could be a spiral-bound notebook, a flip-over notepad like a legal pad, or sticky notes. The idea is more that you're actually following a process every single day. That's what's important, and that you get certain information written down so that you can reference it throughout the course of a day and then close it out at the end of the day. So in my planner, you'll see in the imagery that there are two main sections. There's the primary area where we have things like what gets me excited every day, what am I looking forward to, a daily affirmation, priorities, and things like that. Then there's a bottom section. It's a little bit smaller, but I think it's just as important. That's kind of a wrap up from the end of the day. We'll get to that in just a minute. So you'll notice that in the planner, there's a few areas at the top, like what am I excited about, what am I looking forward to, things like that. Originally, when I started doing this process, I kind of ignored those and I thought that they were just fluff and nothing really important. I started to realize, though, over time that they actually are really, really helpful because they make me think about positive things going into every single day. That's huge because if we don't have a positive outlook on what our day is going to look like and we're just mired down in what's stressing us out or what's negative, that's how we're going to lead every day. And I don't mean to be like a self-help guy here, nothing like that. But I noticed for myself, it was super helpful to keep right at the top of my list the things that are keeping me happy and get me up in the morning going to work. They could be as simple as, I'm excited about coffee because, seriously, who isn't? For anybody who doesn't like coffee, I'm sorry, I love coffee. Donuts, those are awesome. I'm also excited about things like making time today to go take a walk and get some exercise in, or a project I've been working on, recording more of these videos. I love recording these videos and talking to all of you. Hopefully it's helpful for you. Things like that are really important, I think, to write down in the beginning of the day because they're what make you happy. They're the reason you get up every morning, what you're passionate about. And keeping that stuff in mind is really a great driver to move you through any sort of process you're going through. Now below that, there's a thing called an affirmation. Up to you if you want to use something like that. I like it. I've been putting down daily affirmations that don't always change. Sometimes they're the same thing because I just want to remember it, having to do with physical fitness goals or video recording goals or project goals at work. But the intent, at least the way I like to use it, is it's something to remind me every day of a inspirational thing. Just keeps me going. The next area we have below that are priorities. Now, the priorities, it's a natural tendency, I think, of everyone to see a list and want to fill that list out. Those priorities you set daily based off of whatever you know your days to be, but don't stress too much about it. I can't emphasize this enough. Try not to stress too much about writing down a priority in all 5 of these boxes. Sometimes carry one over to multiple boxes. I like to use this, and I found it's very helpful to simply put down those things that seem to be the most important at that moment. You can change them later in the day if you need to, or cross one off and just put a note saying, I'm moving this to another day. But by writing something down, you have the affirmation of getting it on paper, as it were, and letting yourself re-see that throughout the course of the day, so you always know what you should be coming back to. If you have to move away from that, that's a decision you actively make because some priority changed. That's okay. But getting something on paper at least gives you a focus throughout the day, so you always have some place to come back to. There's also a schedule section. I found this very helpful to write out what my schedule looks like for the day. So I'll go to Outlook and I'll pull up my business calendar, my personal calendar, and Gmail. I'll merge the two together and write them out in high-level form. I've done this because it actually, on a separate note, helps me from feeling like I need to keep email open all day long to look at my calendar. Because really, I'm not just looking at my calendar. I'm looking at all the distractions that come through. So it's an effort for me to minimize distractions. I think it might be really helpful for you too. Again, it keeps you going back to this book to look at or this notepad to look at, to keep those things in front of you so the things that normally distract you from a digital perspective can be minimized and you can really focus on what you want to get done. Now, there's a couple other areas like focus and exercise at the top. Those are up to you if you want to use them. I found them helpful to put little notes for myself as little quick reminders, something is funny in my head, whatever else. But I don't always fill them out. Up to your discretion if they're helpful for you. I try to do my best to fill out the entire form as much as possible because I find it's really helpful to get thoughts just out of my head someplace so I don't forget them and I don't have to rely on my memory to go back and get inspired again. It also makes me feel complete. I got something accomplished in filling out my daily plan. And I have found that for most people, it's really beneficial to have that sense of accomplishment first thing in the day with, even if it is something as simple as I've completed a daily plan, that accomplishment feeling you get from doing that really helps set the tone for the rest of the day. And I keep coming back to whatever you can do in the morning to prep yourself to feel positive throughout the day is going to keep up that energy all day so you don't have to use limited energy like willpower and things like that to keep you going. You can rely on, I have a positive outlook that will actually help drive you through all the things you need to do, even when challenges come up. Now at the bottom, there's also an area you'll notice that has tasks or to-dos. I don't use this anymore. Up to you if that's a good way for you to work. I have found that the very static nature of having a task list written out that way means I don't always, if I cross all those off, then I stop thinking about tasks. That's not good. So instead, I use Apple Reminders on my phone and tablet. That's really helpful for me. Again, up to you if that's going to be useful for you or not, but I found that I just ignore those and I use them someplace else so I can manage a little more effectively. Now lastly, and then we'll wrap up today, at the bottom you'll see an area that covers big wins for the day or things that kind of like set you apart for the day in your own mind. I have found this is super useful that at the end of the day before bed to sit down and write out some notes for myself about how I did well or how I didn't do well and what I want to do better the next day. Even if it's minuscule like, I forgot to do this one task, or I didn't prioritize enough and I didn't focus on my book, or I goofed off all day long. I should have really worked on this. Whatever it happens to be, it's always good, I think, to go back and look at what you did throughout the day and make a quick self-evaluation. It doesn't have to be anything complex, just a quick evaluation of how did I do today? Did I hit what I wanted to do? Be honest with yourself too, because this is really important. If you're honest with yourself about how your day went, and you can use that to focus on the next day, it will help improve over time. Now, before we wrap, one thing I want to say is this is always going to be subjective. The things that have worked really well for me have come with a lot of practice, and this is where I've landed. This isn't necessarily a great place for you to start. Try a few things little by little and see what works. And if you have to move from one tool to another tool, a daily planner, a notebook, digital, whatever you want, and then come back and go back again, that's okay. You can move back and forth as much as you need. The idea here is create a process that works, that you can accomplish every day. It doesn't matter what that process is, so long as you're comfortable with it, and at the end of the day, you're able to get those things done that are important to you. I hope this was helpful. Can't wait to see you on the next video. Have a good one.